Karen lost it over an expired gift card, then smashed the store display and got hauled out. What happens when a single moment of rage spirals into a storm that tears lives apart? In the quiet town of Willow Creek, where the air carried the faint scent of pine and the promise of routine, one woman's outburst over a triviality would unravel secrets, shatter bonds, and leave a community reeling. This is the story of Karen Whitaker, a woman whose name would soon be whispered in both disdain and pity, and the day her anger became her undoing. Karen Whitaker, a 42-year-old accountant with a penchant for order, had always been particular. Her neighbors knew her as the woman who trimmed her lawn with surgical precision, who sent curt emails about misplaced recycling bins, and who never missed a chance to correct a cashier's math. To Karen, the world was a ledger, and every transaction had to balance. So, when she stormed into Harper's Gifts and Trinkets that crisp October morning, clutching a $50 gift card she'd found tucked in an old purse, she expected nothing less than perfection. The store was a cozy haven, its shelves brimming with crystal figurines, scented candles, and hand-painted mugs. The air smelled of lavender and wax, and soft jazz hummed in the background. Behind the counter stood Mia, a 19-year-old part-timer with wide eyes and a nervous smile, her first week on the job already testing her patience. Karen slapped the gift card onto the counter, her manicured nails tapping impatiently. "I want to use this," she declared, pointing to a delicate glass rose, its petals catching the light like a frozen flame. "It's for my daughter's birthday." Mia scanned the card, her brow furrowing as the system beeped. "I'm sorry, ma'am," she said, her voice trembling slightly. "This card expired 2 years ago. It's got no balance." Karen's face tightened, her lips pursing into a thin line. "Expired? That's absurd. I paid for this. You're telling me my money's just gone?" Her voice rose, slicing through the store's calm. Customers browsing nearby glanced over, sensing the brewing storm. Mia fumbled with the scanner, her hands shaking. "I can check with my manager, but the system says..." "Don't you dare blame your system," Karen snapped, her voice now a whip. "This is theft. You people think you can just take my money and give me nothing?" She leaned forward, her eyes blazing, oblivious to the growing audience. Mia, barely holding it together, mumbled an apology and reached for the phone to call her manager. But Karen wasn't waiting. She grabbed the glass rose from the display, her fingers tightening around its fragile stem. "If you won't honor this card, I'll take what's mine," she shouted. In a flash of fury, she hurled the rose to the floor. It shattered, sending shards skittering across the tiles. Gasps rippled through the store, but Karen wasn't done. She swept her arm across the display, knocking over a cascade of figurines, tiny ballerinas, porcelain doves, a crystal unicorn, all crashing in a symphony of destruction. "Ma'am, please," Mia cried, backing away as Karen's rage consumed her. The other customers froze, some clutching their purchases, others pulling out phones to record. Karen's chest heaved, her face flushed with a mix of triumph and wrath. "You think you can rip me off?" she screamed. "I'll show you what happens when you mess with me." Enter Javier, the store's security guard, a soft-spoken man in his 50s with a limp from an old injury. He'd been watching from the corner, hoping the situation wouldn't escalate. Now, with the floor glittering with broken glass and Karen's tirade echoing, he had no choice. "Ma'am, you need to calm down and leave," he said, his voice steady but firm, his hands raised to de-escalate. Karen whirled on him. "Don't you tell me to calm down. You're all in on this scam." She grabbed another Itima ceramic teapot and raised it like a weapon. Javier moved faster than anyone expected, catching her wrist gently but firmly. The teapot fell, cracking on the floor. Karen shrieked, yanking her arm free, and in her fury, she shoved Javier. He stumbled, his bad leg buckling, and hit the ground hard. The store fell silent, the only sound Javier's pained groan. Mia, tears streaming down her face, rushed to help him. A customer, an older woman named Evelyn, stepped forward, her voice trembling but resolute. "That's enough," she said. "You've gone too far." She pulled out her phone and dialed 911. Karen's eyes widened, the reality of her actions crashing through her haze of anger. "You're calling the cops on me?" she sputtered, but the fire in her voice was fading, replaced by a flicker of fear. She backed toward the door, her heels crunching on glass, but it was too late. Sirens wailed in the distance, growing louder. The police arrived swiftly, 2 officers entering with calm authority. Karen, now cornered, tried to explain, her voice a jumble of excuses about the card. Her rights, her daughter's birthday. The officers listened, unimpressed, as Mia recounted the chaos, and Javier, still on the floor, clutched his knee. They cuffed Karen, her protests growing weaker as they led her out to the patrol car. Customers watched through the store's windows, their whispers a mix of shock and judgment. But the story doesn't end with Karen's arrest. In Willow Creek, news spread like wildfire. By evening, videos of the gift card meltdown were trending on X, the comments a brutal mix of mockery and outrage. Karen Whitaker, once known for her pristine lawn and sharp emails, was now the town's cautionary tale. Yet, beneath the surface, there was more to her unraveling than a simple tantrum. Enter Lila, Karen's 16-year-old daughter, the one for whom the glass rose was meant. Lila was a quiet girl, her nose often buried in books, her world carefully guarded from her mother's rigid expectations. When she heard about the incident, first from a friend's text, then from the viral videos, she felt a sickening mix of shame and sorrow. Karen had always been controlling, her love expressed through demands for perfection. But this was new. This was public. This was destruction. Lila visited her mother at the county jail the next day, her heart heavy. Karen sat behind the glass, her mascara smudged, her defiance replaced by exhaustion. "I just wanted to get you something special," Karen whispered, her voice breaking. "You're all I have left." Lila's throat tightened. She wanted to scream, to ask why her mother couldn't just be normal, why every gesture had to be a battle. But then Karen said something that shifted everything. "I found that card in your father's things," she murmured. "He left it for you before he left us." The twist hit Lila like a punch. Her father, Daniel, hadn't just left them 5 years ago. He died, his heart failing in a motel room halfway across the country. Karen had never told her about any gift card. She'd kept it hidden, a relic of a man who'd broken her heart. And now, in her desperate need to control something, anything, she'd turned a forgotten token into a war. Lila's eyes filled with tears, not just for her mother's humiliation, but for the pain they'd both buried. Karen's rage wasn't just about the card, it was about loss, about a life that refused to balance like her ledgers. Lila reached for the glass, her fingers trembling, but the guard signaled the end of the visit. "I love you, Mom," Lila whispered, but Karen only stared, her face a mask of regret. Back in Willow Creek, the store reopened, but the scars remained. Mia quit, unable to shake the memory of Karen's fury. Javier, nursing his knee, took early retirement, his quiet dignity a contrast to the chaos. The town moved on, but Lila couldn't. She kept the secret of the gift card to herself, a weight she carried alone. She stopped reading, stopped smiling. Her world dimmed by the knowledge that her mother's love was a fire that burned everything it touched. Karen faced charges: vandalism, assault, public disturbance. The judge, seeing her lack of priors, offered probation and community service, but the damage was done. Her job let her go, her neighbors avoided her, and Lila grew distant, her visits to the house rare and strained. The glass rose, meant to be a symbol of love, became a symbol of ruin. In the end, Karen sat alone in her perfectly manicured home, the silence louder than her screams had ever been. She'd lost more than a gift card that Daisht lost: her daughter, her pride, and the fragile illusion of control. The world didn't balance, not for her, not anymore. Nd.